Welcome to today's podcast discussion. Today, we're going to discuss a topic that is often overlooked in the mental health counseling field, and that's implicit bias against religion in the counseling room. Counseling is built upon the values of empathy, respect, and unconditional positive regard. Yet, counselors, being human, like all individuals, bring their own beliefs, experiences, and unconscious assumptions into the therapeutic relationship. While conversations about multicultural competence frequently focus on race, authenticity, gender, and sexual orientation, religion and spirituality are equally as important aspects of identity that deserve thoughtful attention. In this episode, we will explore how implicit bias toward religion can affect counseling relationships, why cultural humility is essential when working with clients from diverse faith traditions, and how counselors can recognize and address their own assumptions. We will also discuss identity development, multicultural perspectives, and practical strategies for creating a therapeutic environment where clients can feel respected and understood, regardless of their spiritual beliefs. Let's start with understanding implicit bias. Implicit bias refers to unconscious attitudes or assumptions that influences how individuals perceive and act with others. These biases are not always intentional, and they often develop through cultural experiences, social norms, and personal beliefs. In counseling, implicit bias can influence the questions a counselor may ask, and it affects how they interpret a client's experience and even how they view the client's values and the client's coping mechanisms. Religious identity is a significant part of individuals' lives, and failing to recognize its importance can negatively affect the therapeutic alliance. For some clients, religion serves as a source of strength, community, hope, and meaning. For others, religion may be associated with trauma or conflict. Regardless of the client's perspective, counselors have an ethical responsibility to approach these values and beliefs and experiences without judgment. Implicit bias needs to be in check. Counselors need to be aware of their own biases. Okay, so now that we know a little bit more about implicit bias, let's look at cultural humility and counselor self-awareness. These are one of the two most important concepts in multicultural counseling. Especially cultural humility. Cultural humility involves recognizing one's own biases, taking responsibility for them, and understanding that clients are the experts on their own lives and their own experiences. Rather than assuming expertise about another person's beliefs, cultural humility encourages counselors to maintain an attitude of openness and lifelong learning. Research in multicultural counseling frameworks emphasize that culture is influenced by a complex interaction of history, social perceptions, and personal experiences. Clients from the same religious group may vastly have different beliefs and values, which makes it dangerous to rely on stereotypes or a one-size-fits-all assumption. These perspectives align with understanding that identity is not static. Individuals continuously develop and redefine themselves based on life experiences, relationships, and interactions with society. As counselors, recognizing these dynamic processes help prevent imposing dominant culture values on clients, something that we do not want to do. We never want to impose our own beliefs or values on a client. Okay, so identity development and religion. Identity development models have played an important role in helping counselors understand how individuals experience culture and belonging. Scholars such as Janet Helms and Rita Hardiman have contributed to influential frameworks that demonstrate that people from the same minority group do not necessarily share identical experiences. These models remind counselors that identity development is not linear. Individuals may move between stages, revisit earlier experiences, or experience sudden shifts after significant life events. Experiences of discrimination, rejection, or exclusion can force individuals to reevaluate their worldview and sense of belonging. Religion functions in a similar way. People may experience periods of strong faith, questioning, conflict, or renewed commitment. Some individuals embrace their religious identity, while others struggle with competing expectations from family, culture, or society. Because identity is so complex, counselors must avoid making assumptions based solely on these labels. A client who identifies as Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, Buddhist, atheist, or any other spiritual identity may have beliefs and experiences that differ significantly from others who share the same label. Um, this points at the important thing we have to consider is the competing expectations. Um, Religious identity development is often influenced by family expectation, cultural traditions, and experiences with acceptance or rejection. Individuals may struggle to reconcile with their personal beliefs with the values they were raised with, leading to periods of questioning or spiritual conflict. For some clients, these experiences can create feelings of guilt, shame, or confusion, particularly when their beliefs differ from those of their families or community. Understanding these struggles allow counselors to approach clients with empathy and recognize that spiritual development is often a lifelong process rather than a fixed destination. In addition, experiences of discrimination or negative stereotypes can significantly impact how individuals relate to their faith and the religious communities. Some people may strengthen their spiritual identity in response to adversity, while others may distance themselves from religion because of painful experiences or feelings of exclusion. These varying responses highlight the importance of avoiding assumptions about a client's beliefs or of the level of their religious commitments. By acknowledging this complexity of identity development, counselors can create a space where clients feel safe exploring their values, beliefs, and sense of belonging without the fear of judgment from the counselor or a pressure to conform to something that they feel that they do not want to. Okay, so let's discuss how religious bias can appear in counseling. Implicit bias against religion can manifest in subtle ways. A counselor may unintentionally minimize the importance of prayer, spiritual practices, or faith communities. They might assume that religious beliefs are irrational, outdated, or incompatible with psychological treatment these days. For example, if a client describes relying on prayer for difficult times in their lives, a counselor may be influenced by implicit bias to redirect that conversation toward more coping strategies while overlooking the significance of that spirituality in the client's life. Biases can also appear when counselors stereotype certain religious groups. A counselor may make assumptions about gender roles, family structures, political beliefs, or levels of openness based solely on the client's religious affiliation. Even these small misunderstandings can damage trust. And trust in a therapeutic relationship is so important. Clients who feel judged or misunderstood may be reluctant to discuss issues that are deeply meaningful to them. That weakens that relationship, and maybe they may even reconsider counseling because that trust is not there. Speaking of the therapeutic relationship, research has consistently demonstrated that the therapeutic relationship is one of the strongest predictors of a successful counseling outcome. Trust, empathy, and mutual respect are fundamental components of this relationship. A client's identity can influence how they perceive their counselor and whether they feel emotionally safe. Multicultural counseling literature explains that individuals' developmental experiences and identities can affect levels of trust and confidence in the counseling process. Likewise, counselors' own identity development and self-awareness influence their effectiveness in navigating complex cultural dynamics. Basically, this means that counselors must continuously examine their own personal values and beliefs. that shape their interactions with their clients. Self reflection is not a one time thing, it's an ongoing professional responsibility, ongoing education that a counselor must ethically and responsibly do throughout their career. Okay, so personal experiences and the importance of belonging. Experience of exclusion often shape an individual's worldview and understanding of identity. Feeling as though one does not fully belong can create an internal conflict and lead individuals to question where they fit within their communities. For many people, religion is deeply intertwined with family traditions, cultural heritage, and personal identity. When individuals are told they are not religious enough or fail to meet those expectations established by others, they may feel rejected, confused, or ashamed. These experiences highlight important lessons for counselors. There is tremendous diversity within the groups. Identity cannot be reduced to stereotypes or rigid definitions because each client experiences are unique and deserve to be understood within their own context. This understanding strengthens the practice of cultural humility by reminding counselors to avoid assumptions and recognize clients as experts in their own lives because they're the ones that are living it. So let's talk about some strength based approaches. Historically, differences have been viewed through a deficit lens. Diversity was seen as a barrier that needed to be overcome. And in counseling, this perspective can lead professionals to focus on what clients lack rather than recognizing their strengths. A strength based approach offers a different perspective. Diversity becomes a source of resilience, adaptability, and insight. Similarly, religion can provide clients with a powerful coping mechanism. Faith communities offer social support, meaning, hope, and a sense of belonging. Spiritual beliefs can help individuals navigate grief, trauma, illnesses, and uncertainties that are happening in their lives. Recognizing these strengths allows counselors to honor clients' values and incorporate culturally meaningful resources into treatment when appropriate. Another aspect of a strength based approach is recognizing that religion and spirituality can serve as protective factors in a person's life. Many individuals, faith provides a sense of purpose, especially during times of stress and adversity. Spiritual beliefs, help them with major life transitions. Rather than viewing religious practices as obstacles to treatment, counselors should use these to benefit and complement their therapeutic interventions and support emotional well-being. It's a great tool that should be used when it is available. In addition, religious communities often provide that valuable contribute to their clients' overall well-being. Their places of worship and faith-based organizations offer them the acceptance and connection with those that share their similar values. These support systems provide their emotional encouragement, practical assistance, and opportunities for community involvement. Um, it encourages the counselors to acknowledge these resources through these strength based perspectives and explore how they can be incorporated into the client support network. Adopting a strength based approach definitely, moves beyond the stereotypes, appreciates the resilience that clients develop throughout their spiritual experiences. Clients who have faced discrimination and religious misunderstanding or conflicts related to their faith often demonstrate remarkable perseverance and self awareness. By focusing on these strengths rather than their perceived deficits, counselors can empower their clients to draw upon these values and beliefs and these resources to promote growth and positive change. These perspectives reinforce the idea that effective counseling involves honoring the whole person and recognizing that many ways in which culture, spirituality, and identity contribute to their psychological well being. Okay, so let's talk about strategies for addressing religious bias. There are several different practical ways counselors can address implicit bias against religion. First is self awareness, which is essential. Counselors should regularly reflect on their beliefs and consider how these beliefs influence their work. Second, education is important. Developing knowledge about various faith traditions can increase cultural competence and reduce stereotypes. Third, counselors should practice curiosity rather than assumption. Open-ended questions, this allows clients to explain the role of religion in their lives. Fourth, supervision and consultation, of course, provide opportunities to identify blind spots and receive feedback from colleagues, which is always good. And of course, counselors should maintain an attitude of cultural humility. Rather than viewing themselves as experts in every culture or religion, they should approach it with, openness, respect, and willingness to learn. These are all great, great strategies. I would like to add another important one, of course, and that's the ability to recognize when personal values may conflict with those of a client. Counselors are not expected to share the same beliefs as every individual they work with. They're going to work with thousands of different individuals with different belief systems, but they are ethically responsible for ensuring that their own perspectives do not interfere with the treatment of their client, which requires ongoing self-reflection, willingness to acknowledge areas where unconscious bias may exist, become aware of potential blind spots. Counselors can better separate their personal beliefs from the needs and experiences of the clients. And it's also important for counselors to create an environment where clients feel comfortable. Discussing spiritual and religious concerns can be uncomfortable, but it needs to be a space where this can be openly spoken of. Many clients can hesitate to bring up their faith because they fear of being misunderstood or judged. Simple practice such as asking the open-ended questions about the role of their spirituality shows a genuine curiosity that can help foster a trust and strengthen that therapeutic relationship. Clients will feel that their beliefs are respected and they are more likely to engage openly with the counselor in the process and view therapy as a safe and supportive space. Counselors, of course, should finally, as a final strategy, would be to commit to a lifelong learning and professional development regarding religious and spiritual diversity. This is very important. This is kind of similar to the other one I had spoken about. Beliefs and practices vary not only between religions, but also within them. It makes it possible to rely solely on assumptions or previous experiences. Attending trainings, participating in continuing education, seeking consultation from colleagues with expertise in these spiritual or religious experiences or issues can enhance that cultural competence. Maintaining a mindset of humility and continuous growth allows the counselor to better serve diverse populations and reinforces the profession's commitment to provide ethical and inclusive care, not just for that counselor, but for all counselors. All right, so we've had a great discussion today. There's so much more we can talk about, but implicit bias against religion in the counseling room is an important issue that deserves greater attention. Religion and spirituality are essential components of identity for many individuals, and counselors must recognize how unconscious assumptions can affect the therapeutic process. By embracing cultural humility, engaging in self reflection, and viewing clients as experts in their own experiences, counselors can create spaces where individuals feel safe, respected, and understood. Ultimately, effective counseling requires more than knowledge of theories and techniques. It requires a commitment to honoring the full complexity of human identity and recognizing that every person's journey is unique. When counselors approach religious diversity with empathy and humility, they strengthen the therapeutic process and relationship and foster an environment where healing and growth can truly occur. Reflecting on this topic, highlights the importance of viewing religion and spirituality through the same cultural responsive lens that counselors apply to other aspects of identity. Just as no two individuals experience culture in the exact same way, religious and beliefs and spiritual practices are deeply personal and shaped by unique life experiences. Recognizing this complexity allows counselors to move beyond stereotypes and assumptions and instead meet clients where they are in their journey, honoring the meaning of faith and spirituality may hold in their lives. Ultimately, maintaining a commitment to culture humility means acknowledging that clients are the true experts of their own experience and identities. Continuously examining personal bias and striving to provide an atmosphere of respect and understanding, we can ensure that every client feels seen, validated, and accepted. In doing so, they uphold the ethical principles of the profession and foster therapeutic relationships built on trust, empathy, and genuine acceptance, regardless of the client's religious beliefs or spiritual background. Thank you, and I hope to see you again in the next episode.